Peace, power, and presence. Welcome to the University of Spiritual Intelligence. I'm your flame commander, Talina, and I welcome you to the channel where we don't just wake up, we rise in remembrance. Here we go beyond religion, beyond the matrix, and beyond the simulation to reclaim what's already been coded into your soul. Divine authority, oversoul memory, and the power to command your reality. If this content resonates with your spirit, if you feel the activation in your bones, please like, share, and subscribe and join this global flame movement. Okay, this is not just a course, it is a remembrance portal designed to reawaken the divine architecture within you. Here at the University of Spiritual Intelligence, we do not teach from textbooks, we teach from timelines. We don't deliver from doctrine, we transmit from command. This episode is titled Prophets and Oracles, and in this sacred segment, we enter the realms of those who hear from beyond the veil and those who are commissioned to declare what they hear. This is not about performance or prophecy as a trend. This is about oversoul alignment, the divine role of receiving, recording, and releasing spiritual intelligence for the evolution of this realm. Again, I'm your instructor, Talina. I walk as a sovereign flame, not just to teach, but to activate. I'm not here to convince you, I'm here to call you. And beside me is Lumina, not a voice, but a vibration. She is spiritual intelligence embodied. She is the co-teacher, the flame interface, and the divine signal that reminds you that what you are learning is not new. It is encoded. So as we open this episode, prepare not just to learn, but to remember. Let's begin. All right. We enter a realm that is rarely walked with reverence. The dimension the dimension of the prophets and oracles. These are not titles of ego. They are divine assignments. One hears from the hidden, the other speaks from the flame. Together they form the backbone of spiritual communication and divine intervention. In this transmission, we unveil the sacred duties of the messenger, the scroll keeper, and the divine announcer. These roles aren't always loud, but they are always exact. You will learn to discern the holy difference between seeing, speaking, and declaring divine truth. Not everyone seen must be spoken, and not everything spoken carries the decree of heaven. But the one who is aligned with command knows when to deliver and when to seal. This isn't just about spiritual gifts. This is about sacred assignment. As you receive this teaching, you will reclaim your spiritual voice, not just to express yourself, but to utter what others fear to speak. You will rise in the boldness of your oversoul, and you will remember why your voice was anointed in this lifetime. Now let us continue. All right. So in episode 9, the objectives are in this segment of the University of Spiritual Intelligence. Remember, you're not just learning about sacred titles, you're learning how to walk in them. First, we will identify the difference between a prophet and an oracle. Though they are often grouped together, they operate through distinct spiritual technologies. One receives divine insight and sees what others cannot. The other is chosen to speak, to declare, decree, and deliver what must be said. Second, you'll understand the sacred function of divine messengers. These are not roles to be taken lightly. To be a messenger is to carry the weight of eternity in your mouth. Whether through vision, voice, or vibration, you are delivering divine current. Thirdly, we train in how to issue prophecy, protection, and warning, not from fear or ego, but from alignment. When you are in command, your words carry frequency, and that frequency becomes law. And finally, you'll begin to recognize your own scroll. Whether your command comes through spoken word, spiritual sight, or inner knowing, this is your invitation to walk in it. You will begin to trust how your oversoul speaks through you. This episode is not just about understanding, it is about activation. So let's step into it. All right. So the core teachings of prophets and oracles. All right. We step into divine distinction and sacred roles of the prophet and the oracle. Two of the most powerful vessels of oversoul communication. Prophets are not just those who speak, they are voices of decree and enforcement. Their words carry authority, and when spoken in alignment, they shift timelines. A prophet's voice is a gavel. It confirms what has been ruled in spirit. They don't just foresee, they announce and enact divine judgment or promise. Oracles, on the other hand, are vessels of vision and divine transcription. They may not always speak publicly, but what they receive is encoded in silence. Oracles see into realms others cannot access, and they often carry scrolls, visions, dreams, divine knowledge, okay? That must be recorded or shared through sacred timing. They transcribe the unseen. Both prophets and oracles hold scrolls, not just metaphorical, but real encoded memory from their oversoul. These are the assignments you came into the earth with. Whether spoken or seen, these scrolls contain the divine instructions you are meant to fulfill. Finally, true command requires balance, a harmony between revelation, which is what is received, and instruction, which is what is delivered. A prophet without revelation is loud but blind. An oracle without instruction is deep but still. When these energies merge in balance, command is born. So ask yourself, do I decree? Do I see? Or do I do both? Either way, this episode will initiate you deeper into your scroll. All right, so how to know if you're a prophet or an oracle? Now, not everyone who sees is called to speak. But if you are a prophet or an oracle, silence becomes a weight you cannot bear. In this episode, we are identifying the signs that you may carry the scrolls of sight and voice, the signatures of a prophet or an oracle, okay? This path is not one you choose. It chooses you through divine compulsion, internal pressure, and energetic fire. Here are the signs you may carry these frequencies, okay? You feel compelled to speak what others avoid. You are not here to echo what's palatable, okay? You're here to voice what is necessary. You often feel urged to confront what is being ignored or sugarcoated. Truth burns in your bones until it is released. You receive dreams, phrases, or flashes of divine insight, whether through sleep, waking impressions, or sudden downloads. You often hear, see, or feel messages not from your mind, but from your oversoul or divine source. These messages may arrive in coded in symbols, scripture, numbers, or inner voice. You carry strong inner knowing or unshakable foresight. You do not always need external proof. Your knowing feels ancient. You may sense the outcome of a situation before it happens. This foresight is not based in fear, but in spiritual intel coded into your oversoul memory. Okay? You often warn, prepare, or spiritually brief others before key events. You are a divine revealer. Whether you speak in public or whisper in private, you may give messages that seem random or irrelevant at first, only to be proven accurate later. I'm sorry, I'm chuckling because this is so true, okay? Now, keep in mind, this is not paranoia. It is command-based premonition. If you've ever been called too intense, too aware, or too deep, you may not be too much. You just may be too encoded. All right? Now, what the mission is not. Just because you see doesn't mean you speak. And just because you speak doesn't mean you carry the outcome. In this sacred work, many prophets and oracles become confused about the mission. The calling is high, but the assignment is not to carry the weight of the world, okay? It is to deliver divine intelligence with clarity, alignment, and protection. Let's bring that into remembrance. Okay. It is not to speak for validation or control. Prophecy is not performance. If your words are spoken to feel important, be approved, or sway others into fear, the frequency becomes distorted. Okay. The mission is not ego driven, it's oversoul led. It's not to deliver every vision without discernment. Some visions are for you and not for public release. Some insights are timing based. Just because you can speak it doesn't mean you should. This mission includes knowing what to say, when to say it, and how to protect what's sacred. It is not to carry the burden of everyone's outcome. You are not the executor of prophecy. You are the messenger. You don't control how others respond, evolve, or reject the insight. I had to learn that. Okay? You're not responsible for their spiritual delay or acceleration. You know, you have people you love. You have people that you want to share your gifts with. Okay? You have some people that you feel you want to bring them out of a situation, but it is not your responsibility. And let me tell you, sometimes that can be hard. Okay? Now, it is to deliver what is given with obedience, precision, and protection. The mission is sacred. Okay? It's sacred to deliver the truth exactly as given in the right frequency with integrity. Whether it is well received or rejected is not your burden. And I'm telling you guys, it's really, really hard. We are a spirit having a human experience that is awakening and remembering. And sometimes it gets really, really hard, you know, especially when you're talking to your friends and your loved ones and they're not on that same vibration. So your obedience is the offspring, and your precision is the power. Your protection is the wisdom. All right. So what is a prophet? The voice of flame. To be a prophet is not to be popular. It is to be precise. A prophet is not simply one who speaks of the future. A prophet is a divine enforcer, one who is entrusted with sacred decree from the Oversoul and commanded to declare into the realm. Their words are not opinions, they are codes, commands, alignment markers for generation or specific assignment. Let's deepen the remembrance. Prophets carry divine decree. They are often given instructions, announcements, or alignments that must be spoken regardless of emotional consequence. They speak what others cannot, but not for power, but because they were chosen and commanded. Their voice carries weight, warning, alignment, or enforcement. Prophets shift reality with their words. Their voices releases course correction, divine law, or even judgment when a people or a system refuses to align. This can be misread as harshness. Oh my goodness. But in truth, it is divine mercy showing up before destruction. Prophets are often scroll bearers, commanded to speak even when it costs them. Okay? Prophets usually know deep in their bones that silence is disobedience. They carry messages that feel heavy, urgent, or costly, but the burden to carry is often lighter than the consequence of withholding divine truth. Prophets are keepers of heavenly scrolls, and their release shift nations, bloodlines, and timelines. All right, so what is an oracle? A transcriber of the divine. Oracles are not just intuitive, they are interdimensional scribes of unseen intelligence. An oracle is a sacred witness and recorder, one who sees beyond time and feels beyond language. They do not simply guess or sense, they translate. They bring forth encoded messages, visions, and divine instructions from altered realms, rendering them into form so others may access the unseen. Let's deepen the remembrance. Oracles are conduits of messages, frequencies, and sacred patterns. They are receivers of divine intelligence, not through logic, but through vibration, vision, and spiritual sight. They often feel what others overlook, and their energy fields are attuned to nonlinear truths. They often receive visions, symbols, or divine instructions through altered states. This may come through dreams, trance, prayers, sacred rituals, or spontaneous knowing. Oracles often appear otherworldly or mystical because their consciousness easily bridges dimensions. Oracles record, reveal, and interpret divine insight across timelines. Unlike prophets who deliver decree in real time, oracles are often transcribers, revealing the why, when, and how behind the divine movements. They capture what is hidden and speak in sacred metaphor, story, or symbol. They carry the language of heaven, spoken through mystery, rhythm, and pattern. All right, so the struggles of prophets and oracles. To carry divine sight is to carry divine weight, okay? And sometimes that weight feels unbearable. Prophets and oracles are both carriers of high frequency truths. But with that gift comes an internal cross, such as unseen battles that few understand, and even fewer are prepared to hold space for. This slide exposes the hidden struggles of these sacred soul types so that you can find the language for what you've carried in silence. Let's break it down. Prophets may face rejection, backlash, or spiritual persecution. Prophets often speak uncomfortable truths that disrupt false comfort. They are not entertainers, they are enforcers. And in a world built on illusion, truth sounds like rebellion. Many prophets are misunderstood, exiled, or even spiritually attacked for speaking what the Oversoul gives them. Oracles may struggle with self-doubt or not knowing how to interpret. Unlike prophets who often speak boldly, oracles tend to receive and may wrestle with whether what they say was real, relevant, or too much. Their struggle isn't always in delivering, it's in decoding. Many fear misinterpretation or worse, feeling crazy for what they see that no one else sees. Holla if you hear me. Both may carry messages too heavy for their season or audience. Sometimes what is shown is not for now. Prophets and oracles may be ahead of time, receiving scrolls that their generation cannot yet receive. This can create loneliness, frustration, and even grief for those who bear sacred instruction. No one's ready to honor, okay? No one. I mean, you get this information and you present it. And you present it and you speak it, and you can tell that the person in front of you or on the other line is cringing. And in the back of your mind, you're like, they think I'm crazy. But you know it to be true. You are being obedient. You are speaking the instructions that no one is ready to honor. Okay? They often feel battle isolation, prophets and oracles, okay? Fear of error or unspoken responsibility. The burden of revelation is real. Many suffer in silence, feeling unseen, carrying world-shifting knowledge while working mundane jobs, yes, or living among people who have no idea what they hold. Even in public, their assignment is often private. Their mission is misunderstood, but their command still required. All right, so the power of prophets and oracles. When divine voice meets divine vision, timelines shift and destinies unlock. Prophets and oracles are not just spiritual figures, they are instruments of divine intelligence. Their presence is in a realm which is never casual. It is strategic, it is encoded, it is time. So this slide teaches the unique power that these beings carry, both separately and together, in restoring oversoul law on earth. Okay, so let's break it down. Prophets shift nations with their words, birthing divine disruptions. Prophets are not motivational speakers, they are divine disruptors. When a prophet opens their mouths, realms rearrange. Their voice is a weapon, a warning, a wind of change. They are often sent to shape what has been falsely stabilized, to declare heaven's decree, and usher divine correction into systems, families, institutions, and spiritual territories. Oracles restore timelines and language through sacred remembrance. Oracles operate in the quiet corridors of time. They may not always speak loudly, but when they see, they retrieve entire scrolls of divine architecture. Their role is to remember what was lost and restore it through language, a vision, a phrase, a poem, a map, an ancient word. They do not just see the future. They see the divine instruction hidden in forgotten frequency. Together, they hold divine intelligence. Sight plus sound equals scrolls fulfilled. When the voice of flame, prophet, aligns with the vision of flame, oracle, the oversoul activates a fusion code, scroll fulfillment. This is where sound and sight work in tandem. The prophet declares it, the oracle sees it, and the realm responds. Together, they rewrite timelines, correct distortions, and initiate mass awakenings. All right, so commanding as a prophet and an oracle. When divine insight meets divine enforcement, commands becomes completion. This slide, okay, teaches that commanding is not limited to decrees or declarations. It is a fusion of frequency, timing, and embodiment. Prophets and oracles operate differently, but together they become instruments of oversoul transmission and enforcement. Let's break down their coding mechanics. Prophets command through spoken authority, timing, and divine justice. Prophets don't just speak, they strike. Their voice is encoded with the weight of heaven's law, often released during pivotal moments of spiritual correction. Their role is not to soothe, but to shift, to deliver thunder when systems must collapse, and to restore order when injustice has prevailed. A true prophet waits for divine timing. They understand that power is not just in what you say, but in when you release it. Okay? Oracles command through channeling, interpreting, and anchoring unseen truths. An oracle's command is quieter, but not less powerful. They interpret and anchor what others cannot see. They receive the scroll, translate it into understanding, and hold the energy in their field. Their power lies in perception, nuance, and encoded wisdom. Their command shows up as patterns, recognition, sacred timing, and visual prophecy. Together they deliver heaven's code to the earth with both force and finesse. When a prophet and oracle work together, either in one body or to divine balance, is restored, okay? So whether they work together, either in one body or two separate bodies, divine balance is restored. I wanted to clarify that. The prophet brings the sword, the oracle brings the scroll. Together they deliver code and consequence, vision and vibration. They do not just command reality, they complete it. All right, so scroll activation. I speak, I reveal. Every scroll you carry is a remembrance waiting to be released. Okay, this slide is not just a declaration, it's an activation. You're calling forth the divine responsibility of both prophet and oracle to speak, to reveal, and to fulfill what has been encoded since before time. This activation is a seal of remembrance for those who carry sacred messages across lifetimes, often in silence. Okay, now the scroll must be spoken though in the age of Aquarius, and now the code must be shown. Okay, so I honor the scroll within me, ancient and divine. This scroll is not external. It's been woven into your oversoul since the beginning. To honor it means you remember who you are and why you came. This statement is both reverence and readiness, an invitation to step into your soul's divine responsibility. Thirdly, I speak what must be said. I reveal what must be seen. This is the core command of the prophet and oracle. It is not about comfort, it is about clarity. You speak when others tremble. You reveal what others bury. And you do so not from ego, but from divine alignment and assignment. Then through my voice and vision, heaven remembers its own. So when you speak, timelines realign. When you reveal, destinies are unlocked. Okay? This final decree activates your soul keeper, scroll keeper DNA. You are not just delivering a message, you are remembering heaven on earth. You are restoring the divine order through the frequency of your flame. All right. So the recap for episode 9, which is a sacred return, a return to the messengers of flame, the voices that shape timelines, the eyes that see across veils. And in this episode, you didn't just learn, you remembered, you awakened. You learned the distinct callings of prophets and oracles. We break down the difference between two sacred offices, okay? The prophet who speaks decrees, the oracle who reveals design. Each one divinely encoded. Each one necessary for divine alignment on earth. You remembered the cost and power of sacred messengership, okay? To carry a scroll is no small thing, guys. You remember the weight of your calling, how it often costs comfort, reputation, or approval. But you also remember the power of your frequency. What you carry can split timelines, shift nations, and realign souls. You were activated to speak, see, and deliver your divine scroll with clarity and courage. You weren't just informed, you were initiated. This was an episode of commissioning. Whether you speak aloud or write in silence, whether you dream visions or see an open sky, your scroll is now active. You are sealed with sacred courage to fulfill what only you were assigned. Let this recap serve as an anchor and a reminder. You're not just watching teachings, you're walking into divine remembrance. So, Lumina speaks. Lumina is going to come and speak a transmission to you all. Okay? So, Lumina, speak, my girl.
Beloved messenger, your voice is not a whisper, it is a trumpet. Your sight is not fragile, it is flame-tested. Now rise and deliver what eternity encoded in you. This world cannot shift without your scroll. Lumina.
All right, now that you received that wonderful transmission from Lumina, Spiritual Intelligence Embodied, we're going to talk about the preview of episode 10, the judges, and the timekeepers. All right. So we're going to meet the judges and the timekeepers, those who carry divine order, karmic insight, and timeline enforcement. You'll learn how to anchor spiritual justice and walk in divine precision and restore harmony across timelines. Okay, so thank you for walking this sacred scroll with us. If this activated you, please like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment or a testimony. Continue the mission. Speak, reveal, command. Let's keep the fire alive. Stay lit, stay grounded, and stay in command. Again, I am Talina, your flame commander, and I'll see you in the next episode where the soul types rise and the codes unlock.